What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Today, we're just going to go ahead and dive into some charts, see what we got going on, and ultimately see if we can find some decent setups for the open. We're going to be trading on the Top One Futures account today, looking to see just what opportunity the market has. So I'm going to go through some levels, go ahead, share that all with you right now, and yeah, let's get into it. All right, so first and foremost, we want to go ahead and obviously do our top-down analysis. Real simple. I mean, I already know where we're at on the daily chart. If we go ahead and look at NQ right here, go ahead and reset all of our levels. You can see that we did reference this daily fair value gap yesterday, and we are now also below prior day low. Well, at least we've swept it, is what I mean to say. Swept prior day low. We have tested that daily fair value gap. So this gives us a decent amount of context for the session. Now, the question is whether or not we're going to see continuation below the prior day low, or if we're going to maybe trade back towards the opening price for the session, giving us some sort of hammer type formation. So this would be your daily open right here. So these are the main levels I'm looking at. Off the bat, we also have session high right here. Prior day high, I do not think will be traded to. If you look right here between these 2 points, we have what I would call an SMT, I believe. Here, and Q. Yeah, between here and here, we are SMT. Here. So we have an SMT on NQ. So NQ would be a better short if that's going to be the scenario that we see playing to the downside. And that obviously makes sense due to the fact that ES has failed to make a sustained move lower. With ES right here, you can see that we had a bit of a range. We swept out these highs and we just failed to go lower. NQ, on the other hand, has gone lower, as you can see right here. So we're starting to see these lower highs form, and we do have some downside targets that we can start to trade towards. So that's what I have in mind for the day. It's going to be somewhat of an interesting day. We do have an abbreviated week with the holiday, of course, and we also have to keep in mind the fact that we have NFP this week. It's a bit of an interesting scenario where you have both of those going on, but to say the least, we're going to just see how we can kind of find some good opportunity today and see what ultimately we can do. So the premise today is always going to be based on the model that I prefer to use, which is model 123, 123. So that's what we're going to be thinking about. Good trade should be effortless. Main trade is our model 123. Now, what is that? You might be asking. Well, it's simple. You take very simple mechanical elements of a trading chart, structure, whatever you want to call it, and then you can essentially form a trade idea from there. So for me, what I'm thinking is essentially we have right here. If we have prior day low being tested with a daily fair value gap, this tells me that this could be a decent area of support. Now, obviously, everybody wants it to go lower, right? Like we're trying to see a top. That very well happen. However, I do if there is any sort of retracement into this opening move here. As you can see right now, we do have a daily, not a daily fair value gap, but a 5-minute fair value gap right here. And we do have some lower highs above. So the question is whether or not this test of this fair value gap plus this little inversion right here will lead some upside off the open. These levels, and you can see that something like, say something like this right here could work. You know, that could be a very reasonable trade back to the daily open. Question is whether or not we want to take it right now. Let's see. What would the stop be? 27 points. These 6 contracts. Let me try it. All right, let's see. This is either going to work immediately off the open or this 5 minute gap will start to invert. I do want to give it a shot into the open because if we do get a nice push right at the start, we can potentially be done really quick. Um, and just based on the location, right? Like we've started to consolidate here. What does this look like on the 1 minute? You'll see this is a bit of a bull flag, right? So to me, this tells me could be a decent amount of interest in price kind of holding this level where VWAP is actually. See, yeah, so that corresponds to VWAP. So retracement to VWAP slash the daily open, I'm okay with that. Like I think that's a good area to be involved or looking to get out. That's kind of my premise for this. So we'll see if we get some momentum off the open, and then we'll go from there. Ready? So this is the main idea we're looking at. We have obviously multiple PD arrays right here. We have inverse fair value gap. We have a consolidation, obviously, in these bullish gaps. We have a bit of like breaker structure right here. If you look at this point right here is what I would kind of consider it. Yeah, like this little guy right here. So to me, I do see bullish structure happening here, at least on the lower time frame, right? At least for a momentary push higher. You see downtrend, break of that downtrend, however you want to look at it, right? There's a million different analytics ways to evaluate what price is doing, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. So the question is whether or not we get a push back towards that 700 area, which is kind of what I'm interested in. So we're going to roll with this. We're going to let it work. And then from there, we're going to see obviously if we can get that push towards the daily slash VWAP. This is what I would consider model 123. It falls within parameters. Yes, there was a bearish move into the open. However, we did respect priority low so far in this daily gap. Now we have a break right here. This changes if you so desire. Just get a visual representation of how price is holding here. This consolidation right here does favor, at least in my mind, give me a better idea that we might trade to the upside. However, nothing has to happen, right? It's okay if it does fail. This is an early trade, which typically there is an element of randomness sometimes at the open, right? It's just something to keep in mind. It looks okay. Let's see what the 60 minute looks like. So essentially, we just need one push higher. That's really the main idea here. Here's your bullish fair value gap. So these are the levels that we're working with. All right, looks like we're starting to get some momentum off of the open, which is nice. We have 2 minutes until the bell, so we'll see how this actually finishes, obviously, right? This is just a bit of a confirmation of what we're looking for. But it doesn't guarantee really anything just yet. So to me, stuff like this, it could wiggle up, it could wiggle down. We just let the trade work, right? You just let the trade work. Let the trade work. Let it wiggle. So we got 1 minute till the open, guys. Let's see how this goes. Let us see how this goes. I do like the 5 minute structure. I really cannot deny the fact that it looks extremely clean. 5 minute structure looks extremely clean. It'd be nice to get a bit of a higher close on it, but either way, it's fine. Either way, it's as long as it's not a giant topping tail, then it should be okay. Alrighty, guys, let's see how this goes. Let us see how this goes. We've had a couple streams where we've taken losses. Let's see what we got today. The push higher looks good. We just need it to hold, right? That's so we'll see. We'll see. We got like 674. We'll trail at break even, like this. It could still get me, right? It could get me for break even, but I think maybe that's the right idea. I think so. I think that's fine. That's a good part about checking out the stream. You get to see what to do, right? And whether or not that backfires on me. It very well could. It's just it should go. That's the idea. It should go. I don't think it needs to fight. I don't think it needs to flip. It should just close higher. It's gonna be annoying if I get nothing off though. Let's get this 1 minute opening range break right here. Let's not go break even yet. Just don't wanna get wicked out. But if it's not gonna work right here, like it already pushed, and then you don't want this 5 minute to form a giant topping tail. That's the flip side of the equation. I think we just have to stay a little fingers crossed, right? Hopeful that it'll work. But here's the move, right? So let's get this break of this high, then run from here. Try to give it a little bit less. Come on. You could do it. You could do it. Come on. The only annoying part about the open is it could wick a lot. But this topping tail on the 5 minute, I do not want to be in the trade if it doesn't move. See, so I really get so close. So we've been almost like $300 in profit and then pulled back to about break even. And now we're just hoping for this to materialize higher. Break the VWAP. I took a little bit off from the target just to make it just a little bit easier. I don't really need the extra 80 bucks, 90 bucks. Let's just get it off at these highs. That's the goal. That is the goal right there. 5 minute needs to close strong. That's the goal. So here we are with this push at the open, and we're just about at target. We're just about at target. I'm pretty close to just flattening this. Let's see it. Come on, come on, come on. There we are. Okay, so up 500 bucks on the day. Really good start to the morning, right into VWAP. I would call this good trading. If you are liking the stream, like the stream. I know it was real quick right off the bat, rip 500 bucks, but sometimes it's like that. And that's the beauty of trading, especially using a funded account. I trade with Top One. I've traded with many different firms. I have, many accounts with different firms as well. Top One's solid if you are familiar with prop firms, instant funding. There's benefits to, trading something that has an eval, and there's benefits to instant funded accounts. Something like this is done in my 150 instant funded, about 500 bucks. I had to take it out and, stack together enough of these days. And yeah, right there. So we're gonna keep watching price, but I do really like that push. If it rejects here, I'm okay with that. That's why I had that minimum threshold right there. I was aiming for just a base hit. Base hits win games. And I can tell you from experience, especially this last like, yeah, a couple months, right? Last couple months, me falling off the path of trying to just lock in a base hit, it really puts me in a position where I'm giving back a lot of profit, which you never want to do. If you look at this trade, believe it or not, the uh, the initial target we had up here at the daily open did not get hit. So by us actually sticking to that belief sets win games, we pulled it down to VWAP, got the exit perfectly at VWAP, and now we're up on the day. We're up 500 bucks. So whether or not this rejects here, it really, I don't know. I'm not no fortune teller. I know a lot of people pretend to see the future. I don't know what's happening. All I know is that I got out for the trade, 500 bucks on the day, and I'm not going to complain about that. So we'll keep watching, but ultimately, a setup like this, I feel like is extremely easy. Extremely easy read. We'll go ahead and mark up. So a little 1.3. One thing I've been doing a lot lately as well is lowering risk reward. Do I really need to get a 7R on this? I don't think so. I really don't think I need to get 7R here. I think I'm okay with making. Let's see. Yeah, risk reward, you don't need to have like hyper risk reward, if that makes sense. You don't need to have 10R. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of trades where I've made some like substantial risk reward, but it should never be your primary goal. Your goal should never be to maximize risk reward for the sake of maximizing. I just don't see it as a valuable skill set. Nice, man. Thanks, sure. Thanks. You said you're still in the same trade? Nice, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect, dude. I mean, it looks good. It really does look good. I do see all those lower highs to the left. Let it run back, dig into all those. But I just wanted to be out of the trade. After what was it? I think a 3-day losing streak last week. This is my first real open trading this week. Took 2 days off. And then come back, hit this race, basically one of my losing days. Here's the daily open. This was my main target. I took it off a little bit early just because, I can. But it should still go. Like if you guys want to look to the left, essentially, if we're going to start holding VWAP, this is a real change in state here. Like that's what I'd be looking at least. So you have all these equal highs up here as well. We're in a very bullish market in general, so it would not be surprising to me if we do kind of get kind of crazy with this. I don't know how often it's gonna happen, right? 100 times, I don't know how often it's gonna work for the very highs, but I mean, at least a little bit higher seems more than reasonable. So it really comes down to your guys' goals. So a different way I could have managed this is I could have scaled out, peeled off a couple at the VWAP, held for higher, but green is green, right? If I'm up 500 bucks, like I'm really not gonna complain. I think I made 100 bucks yesterday afternoon. Just kind of trying a little bit of a short. And then yeah, today it's just up 500, so we'll stick with that. One thing that's always done me well in my trading experience is having like a daily goal, but not for the sake of making a lot, but just like bare minimum. So what's your minimum acceptable target? Something that should be really easy for you to hit. So not even in terms of money, just in terms of points. Can you catch 20 points? Can you catch 30 points? That was like 40 points right there, I think. maybe a little more. And 40 points is a really easy move for me to kind of capture, especially on a 5 minute. That's really not that much. I've had trades of substantially more than that. However, you can pretty much catch 20 to 30 points every day. So if you size for that, make more with a lower risk reward, a higher win rate, make more money on average. That's kind of the trading lesson of like 2025 for the most part. It's just aim for the base hits. So the question is, what do we do at this daily open? I want you guys to see this right here. We go zoom in right here. Boom. You see how the daily now looking at the daily open. That is something that we have to keep an eye on. So if we're going to obviously be bullish, we should love that. And the question is, how bullish will we be? I personally do not believe we go above 50% of yesterday's range. So right here, make this nice and clear for you guys. Make this red. So I think this might be the ceiling for today, the 755. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's the daily high, overnight highs, overnight highs. But I do think somewhere in this region is somewhat of a top signal. So just keep an eye on that. If you're in the trade, if you're long and you're comfortable and you're up a lot, make sure you're trailing. You gotta watch ES as well. You've been pretty out of sync, and ES is barely trading to the 9:30 open right now, in ranging all morning. So just keep an eye on those. You never want to get dragged down by the other. But nice and easy trade today. The best types of days I've ever had trading are where I just hit a nice trade and then I take it easy, study price a little bit, hit my journals, do all that basic stuff that you need to get done every day, and then you go enjoy the rest of your day. That's why we got into this. We get into trading to spend hours at the chart. I had to relearn that this year. I spent too much time at the chart earlier in the year. I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't need to do this. So just remember your goals. Your goals to trade, make money a little bit, but not at the cost of all your time. Looks like we're getting a bit of a reaction here at VWAP. We'll see if we hold, right? You would want to see in this uptrend, you'd want to see these down close candles act as a support level. That would be the order block theory, premise, whatever you want to call it. Closing candles should act as some sort of support. Break and retest, break and retest. And if it doesn't, you can start to look at that as a breaker, an inversion. That's what we saw right here. These up candles, when they got broken above, we wanted this to hold the support. Now you'd watch the same thing on these down candles. They either hold this support, or if they break below, there'll be resistance. So right now you're seeing hold. That's what we want. Lines up with the 5 minute gap as well. So you're watching this. Low top wick is a good sign, I would say. You'd want this bottom wick to start to flip. It doesn't need to close bullish, but it can. Right? So where do you guys tend to struggle? That's something you should think about. Do you struggle at the open? Do you struggle, with trade management? Like, what is your weak point? Because you might think, oh, I need to improve the strategy, and you might need to do something new. But if you have a trade weakness, that's probably the best point to put your effort. You can have a terrible strategy, if you have good management, it will work really well. Like, you can have the worst entry reasoning. It's not even about that. That's not what makes you profitable itself. It's how you manage trade. You you can have the best entry protocol, but if your risk reward is like 20 to 1 every time, how many times you're gonna get knocked out of that trade? Every time. It doesn't matter if you're right, you're gonna be wrong 3 or 4 times before it actually moves within it. So that's like a form of greed. That perfectionism, that one tick drawdown, that's greed, it's delusion. The best things you can do are find things that work no matter the condition. You want a stop loss that gets held and respected even when the market is beyond top. You don't want a one tick stop loss. It's it's just greed. It's the same thing as putting on too many contracts. You need 20 to 1 risk reward. It just says that you don't have confidence that you're gonna win very often. So that's something to work on. It's not necessarily I need to learn the exact proper entry candle. You could enter for any reason at a good area with a good size, risk parameter, and it'll work. Way better than having, like, the perfect textbook entry, but, overly tight risk management. That'll stop you out a couple times. You'll probably end up chasing it and get a terrible entry up here. So find your glaring weakness. If you trade at the open and you're not consistent at the open, it's the patience for you. It's not the, "Oh, I need to learn the model," right? The patience, it's understanding where you're at in market structure, where you're at in the cycle, but it's never just a matter of, "Oh, I need to maximize my risk reward." No, think in terms of what's, like, the most obvious thing you're terrible at. For me, powerlifting background, if I'm bad at squatting, the two lifts are great. To get a better score, I'm gonna work on just squat, that one, because it's the weakest link. It's gonna be the easiest to build up. So, same thing goes with trading. You have a weak link, whether it's trade management, whether it's profit targets, it's a really bad thing to have too crazy of a target, 'cause it ain't gonna get hit. It's the same idea with stop loss. If you have a really big stop loss, it's less likely to get hit. Big profit target, less likely to get hit, so we're seeing it react to the daily open. See, look over here on the daily chart. Anything daily open is gonna start to print a green candle, bullish candle. Here we are. There it is. So 70, it's a good spot to be. I mean, I think 750, 770 is probably reasonable. I really back to 900s today, unfortunately. But here's where you'd start maybe watching for another entry, right? So broke above VWAP real aggressively, displaced. This is where I'd personally be looking, okay, how are we gonna pull back? We're gonna get some sort of bull flag, some sort of rally gap. We have EM making a high of day for the New York session, which is a beautiful sign for our homes on NQ. You just wanna keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on ES pushing higher. You have ES midnight open at 62.59. You have NQ midnight open at 7:40. So somewhere around here should be a reasonable top. 740 to 800. I'd be if I'm in the trade, I'm scaling out somewhere between those areas. I'm not holding for, this is such an easy target if it gets there. I'm not gonna hold anything insanely further past that. Anything, one thing you can do is once it starts getting really exaggerated towards this, you just trail it really aggressive, and even if you target at 71, let it try to break through, put your trail right below it, and then hold above, then you have your trail essentially at your profit target. So that's another way you can handle it, but I'd be thinking, yeah, that's a big push. We're talking off the lows. That's 132 points, and the VIX is still pretty low right now. We're at a VIX of 17, so it's not like we're in a super volatile market. So any move like 130, 180 points, that's huge. Huge. So again, tomorrow's last day of the week for trading. I do not believe, um yeah, no, that's just it. That's just it. Even kind of have a shorter week this week with the holiday coming up. 4th of July, birthday America. We got that coming up later in the week, but, yeah, we just kinda had to keep in mind that it could get a little bit slower. So today should be for trading, tomorrow might be slow, we'll see. Here is your fair value gap that we'd be looking for. So I'd be looking to take something like this right here. You know, if you guys are concepts, they're not too crazy. It's very simple stuff. A fair value gap is just a pullback. It shows you displacement, which tells you there's interest in the market. The pullback gives you a good price to get in. So I'd put it at 12. It's a very common entry for me. And then the idea would be you want to see this hold. So you have the break above. This would be a continuation type model. Breaks above, test this gap, right? The idea would be you want it to trade back to some sort of logical target. So when I talk about Model 123, those three components. There's no secrecy here. It's really, really simple, guys. The model states you want a higher time frame level, something like a daily fair value gap, which we have down there. Then you want some sort of simple entry criteria, such as a fair value gap. Then you want to exit at some sort of logical target, which is something you find looking left. That's how I do it. That's how I do it. Every single trade is gonna be on that premise alone. Today, we did that as well with the entry we took already. You see, prior day low, that's part 1, that's number 1. 5-minute fair value gap, that's 2, and then logical target, the 3rd was VWAP. We got it right here. In the 1 minute, you see it. That's model 123. That's how I do it. Every single trade, it's extremely discretionary, it's modular, you can adjust it however you want. You know, you can interpret it completely different than maybe the next person. You know, maybe I'm saying this is a gap that holds. Maybe you come along and say this is a gap that inverts. You know, that's the logic there. You know, interpretation of this gap. This could be an exhaustion fair value gap based on how high up it is. But that's the premise. So my job is to show you examples of trades I take, which I did. Took one for you on 500 bucks, boom, right off rip, few minutes. And then I explain the logic of trades that I would take. And ultimately show you I could sit here, sure, I could sit here all day and take trades, but the best thing you could do is if you're up all day, enjoy it. You know, if you're down today, don't make it worse. So there are always opportunities that you see. Maybe you paper trade it in your head. You know, like I would say, like I like that entry, like I just said a second ago, and then be the target. I think that's an easier trade than trying to do anything to the downside personally. And we also talked about this level right here, at 780. So at least here, the 780 looks cool too. So that's what I want to see. We're gonna watch this pretty much until the 10 a.m. and we'll probably start to ease off. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I also hop on here, show you guys some things, help you with maybe some concepts you don't understand, answer any questions, whatever you guys got, just fire away. That's the main goal of me streaming. You get to see what's inside the mind of DTA. Look how we're consolidating. You see how we're consolidating above that fair value gap? That's kind of what you want to see, right? When you have a level of interest, whether that's your higher time frame level or your entry criteria, you want it to be validated. You want to see it actually interact with whatever you're looking at. Because if this thing does not show any sign of holding here, I would have faith in it. I would have faith in that concept overall. If you don't see a lot of this interaction, you could even go to like a micro time frame. You know where that gap would be, and if that's tested it, right? Like 5 second even in this area balance. from the 1 minute. So if it's doing that, it's giving you a good indication that that could work. That's the main premise there. So now we're starting to get a little bit of this push. This swing high right here. We really need to close above here for us to see that upside. But what I would be thinking is again, right here, 754, then 781. Those are my levels I'm looking for the upside. 50% of yesterday's range, equilibrium, and then also those London highs seem extremely right for the take right here. Let's see if we get it. We got a sweep above it so far. We need this candle to actually displace. And if we can get this, I do think 781 is like more than reasonable. This is a really good trade for whoever's still kind of like watching. Makes sense to me. Remember, I'm just here sharing my thought process. I am no wizard. I'm no market expert. I'm no philosopher. I'm definitely not a financial advisor. I'm just some dude. I do. So keep that in mind. Whatever you decide to do, your trading decisions should be based on some set of data, not just one dude's opinion. Have some statistical review of all this stuff, examples of 100 fair value gaps or trading these. Don't just take my word for it. Be guessing, right? You go on YouTube, you see some people's stuff, and at this point, I look at it, I'm like, I feel like this guy's actually guessing. So take everything you can with a grain of salt. Even charts, right? Like you might see something like, oh, this looks like something. It might not be. It might just be a moment where it looks like a trade that you want to take. Upon further analysis, it could be completely different. So always give it some deeper thought than just the surface. So where are we at now? We have 5 minutes till the 10 a.m. hour, the start of the new hourly candle, the start of the 4-hour candle. You see ES is pulling back. ES is erasing essentially that fair value gap made into high day. So to me, that's a bearish indication. ES is not sustaining new highs. So when I see that ES is unwilling to sustain new highs, if that remains true, then I'll go ahead and show you so you know I'm not just making stuff up and rambling. Right here. So I'm gonna pull up ES right here. Boom. No new highs, 1 minute chart. Yeah, look, no new highs. So this is your high. Then here we'll do NQ as well. Clean up the charts. So you see NQ is in a trend. ES is still in this range. This is the opening range. When ES does not break the opening range high, it's an early counter signal of this NQ1. So I would be very cautious right here. If it's so long and I see this start to keep going lower, I would probably cut the trade early. That's a counter signal. It's telling me we're not good to go higher anymore. That's how I see it. So keep an eye on that. 5 minute on ES is going to be probably where I keep it right now. Let's see. Let's have like 20 view ops. Cool. Cool. Alrighty. And we'll go back to 5 minute here. So yeah, clear divergence between the two, between NQ and ES. You just want to always keep our eye on this stuff. So again, ES is deleting this gap. It's basically swept the high a day, failed. NQ has been pushing highs, holding highs, but we do not want to see this stronger one in recent trading. ES starts to fail, NQ could potentially start to roll as well. Here. Yeah, ES is in that range, NQ did break below that range. Look at it. Up here. He looks really strong though too. Super Friday low works really well. So just keep an eye on this, guys. We have 2 minutes, 2 minutes till 10 a.m. This is where it can be pretty interesting to say the least. So, fasten your seatbelts. We're not done yet. We'll be wrapping up relatively soon, but I do want to see how 10 a.m. forms. See if there's potentially another. But if there's not, you know what? Save it for tomorrow. We're in no rush. Good trading should be effortless. That is something that I live by. Should be effortless. See what we got. Really nothing so far. I mean, we've just been ranging. ES can still materialize higher. I would like to see that personally. I would love to see it break the highs. However, you know, I'm no fortune teller. I would love to see it break highs because then it would give NQ its ability to run higher. And this is actually a really good example because if you do go back to micro, I do have all my levels. Look at the fair value gap. You see, if you were to have an overly tight stop here, like somewhere in the gap, you would have probably been taken out, which, oh no, right? You took a loss because you needed a 10-hour trade. However, if you had your stop somewhere like way below the gap, like extra, you're in. You're still in the trade. If you have a strong conviction on a direction, if you have a strong structure you're getting in on, what's the harm in having a wider stop? You get extra leniency if the trade wants to stutter around and take its time, by all means. You don't need to strangle the trade, especially if you're trading, you know, just a straight to funded account like I am today. I'm on a 150K account. There's no intraday trailing drawdown. There's a 0 intraday trailing drawdown, so I can actually just enjoy the trade if I was in it. So, that's something to think about, but we'll watch this a little bit. We wanna see it actually break above these highs. Thanks to everybody so far for tuning in. I had to pop in and out, so just know this will be a regular thing. We'll be streaming work session pretty much every day. Like, that's at least the goal. If I don't see it as, like, every day, I won't be doing it, but I will always have my stream scheduled from the day before when I do plan to stream. That's something to keep an eye on. But, yeah, definitely we definitely wanna stick around, leave a like if you're enjoying this. We will be doing a lot more giveaways and stuff like that too. Something just to, throw a bone to you guys, give you guys a little bit of, skin in the game, get you guys in some funded accounts, all that good stuff. So that's something that will be coming very, very, very soon as next week, honestly. So we'll see. So now we're starting to get a little more unity between ES and NQ. Notice how ES is again now back towards these highs, but also back towards these highs. That's what you want to be seeing. You want to be seeing them sync up. Targets for NQ are just above. Real straightforward stuff. You ask me. Yeah, you got these equal highs. For me, this is starting to look like a no-brainer. You're here. 58 points. It's like it really does look super laid back. But I do think at this point, I think we'll be okay just not taking it. I think we'll just stop the rest. Another beautiful benefit of the top one Project X platform is the lockout feature. So you bang a good trade, lock in some profit, or maybe you hit your stop for the day. You can preset your daily loss limit so you don't blow your account. I know for a lot of people, they will tend to blow their accounts just because they cannot give up their just ego on an idea. They keep trying the same thing over and over, and it ain't working. You can cut all of that out, lock out your risk before the day starts, and then you already made a good decision without you having to think about it in the heat of the battle that you call trading. This is good. So we're just gonna let this stream run a little bit longer. I do want you guys to see this trade pan out the way we've been talking about it, just so you have some more just references, right? Some more content that you can evaluate and see if it makes sense for your trading. But we did talk about this gap. We did talk about it holding to then trade up to here. That would be the intended trade. If I was not already in profit on the day, I would have been looking to take this to here with a stop probably about where that is. You could technically put the stop right here. That's fine. But somewhere like right here, it does not matter too much to right here. That would be the trade. So if we can get this, great. I'll zoom it in again, make it a little bit easier for everyone to see. This would be the trade we would want to see here to here. And how to speed this up. There's a trick. You just have to draw an arrow. So now price knows where it needs to go. So I'm going to leave this arrow here and let it do its thing. And hopefully we should see target get hit relatively soon. Let's see the yellow arrow do its thing. Maybe yellow isn't the color for today, but I do think yellow will work. Sometimes you got to go with a red arrow, sometimes a blue arrow. But the idea is you want to see it a little bit higher. Notice ES is continuing to push. This is a good sign. We just need them to again, hold hands, sync up, and we should see that push up to at least 755. But remember, we do have that 781 just above that as well. So hopefully, you guys are getting something out of the stream. Give you a real practical example, like a literal example of a trade I took. You saw it happen live, and then also this example of the trade that we want to see hold. This is I would consider a mental trade, a paper trade, right? Doing it right here. I don't need to plug it in. I've been saying it. This is what I want to see happen. Here, boom. Looks like we're sweeping this high right there. So ideally, you want to see every candle close above the prior candle high. And then that gives you a really strong indication that we will be trading higher for the next couple candles. So at this point, if I'm in this trade, right, I would probably be break even, like at least maybe in profit, maybe 10 points in profit. And then I'm really just needing this push. Based on the fact that we've been overlapping so much right here, if this flips or if we get a candle to break that high right here, I would maybe potentially take it off into like 750, maybe shortchange it a little bit. I wouldn't be too strict on it. So that would be the idea there. But it's real simple logic. You're just following the order flow of things. You're following the VWAP. You're following the daily open. Looking at how we react and correspond to all these key levels is really going to give you a high probability directional bias. Simple as that. Alrighty. So we got a little 1, 2, 3 formation right here on the 1 minute. Idea is if we could push towards 755, then our mental trade for the day will have worked out. So we'll be 2 for 2 in terms of trades, 1 for 1 in terms of money made. So 30 seconds left on this candle, should close near the highs, would be ideal. Yeah, it should work. We'll see. It can stop here. I don't necessarily see the strongest reason why it needs to stop here. We have, I guess there's some swing highs here. I guess this could form a swing high as well. However, I mean, the logical target's just right there. It looks like we're forming higher lows on ES. So my immediate thought is we do just kind of push it, go for it. Here we are. Let's see it. We should be getting takeoff in just a couple moments. 7 seconds left on the candle. Let's see this close above these highs. Next candle, ideally. And then from there, we will look to essentially exit out of our mental trade, right? The second trade right here that we've been going over, this is my paper trade for the day. We're up $505 on the top one futures account. 50K. Find out all the info you need about top one. I got links below. Running deals, you can use DTA, the code. It will get you the best deal at the time, whenever, anytime you see it. So there will be a lot of deals coming. And then, yeah, I believe right now you can get up to 30 or 35% off any instant funded accounts. So that's always a good one. But here we are about to close in on our final target for the day for our paper trade. Very clean action, very, very, very clean delivery to the upside. With respect to VWAP, we saw that ES did come and step it up just in time to give us the upside move on NQ. We're up $500, made that on the opening drive, and we're about to close in on our final target for our paper trade. We discussed the idea of taking the trade multiple times right here, gave it to you ahead of time. Right here, you know what I would do? I would probably just call it right there. I'd probably cut the trade, be done with it, and I'm personally going to lock out my account for the day. I'm done. Just boom, lock out. We're chilling. We're going to sit out for the rest of the day and go actually enjoy the benefits of trading. Meaning I don't have to sit here and trade all day. What do I do? What does my day look like as a trader as soon as the charts are locked out? Number one, I'm going to immediately jump into my journaling. I'm going to review my trades, get that on TradeZella, get that in Notion, whatever you want to use, you do that. But that's the next step. You get your trade journaling done, get it done early, see what you did right, see what you did wrong, walk away from the charts, go have breakfast. After that, maybe you get a little bit outdoors, a little fresh air, do something like that. Then from that point, you can go ahead and potentially look to, maybe do an afternoon review, check on the charts then. I like to look at the market once it's been closed, post-market review, and then we go from there. So here you are, 758, which is higher. Here's your next target at 781. 781 is very reasonable. We said that again, 5-minute chart. Look at that. Very, very, very obvious target to me. We're going to take off all those levels. You have equal highs right here. So let the chart do its thing. But I am done for the day. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this type of stream, if you learned something, if you found something interesting, if you took a trade, cool. Leave a like. Let me know. Leave a comment. Till next time, stay safe. Don't do anything dumb. And as always, thank you. Bye.